Hello again, everybody, and welcome to another Community Connections with Ryan Sauers. I'm super excited to have Terri Grunduski. She is the executive director of the Sager Strong Foundation here with us today. Terri, my friend, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, Ryan. How are you?
We are doing well. So far, all technology is working well, and that's always a plus, you know, with the heavy Wi-Fi we were talking about before we went on air. And but good to have you on the show. And why don't you just tell us a little bit about yourself, your family, your background, so our audience can get to know you better.
Sure, I'd be happy to. And thanks for having me on the
You're
show.
welcome.
Well, I am very fortunate. I worked in sports my entire life, with the exception of when I first started at Turner Broadcasting many moons ago, but always had the dream to be in sports. And I was lucky enough to, through Turner Broadcasting, I was offered a position with the Atlanta Thrashers, and that started my climb, if you will, into the sports world. Loved it, worked in community relations for the Thrashers. I didn't know much about hockey, learned a whole lot about hockey very quickly, and loved every minute of it, and ran their foundation, and then moved over to the Atlanta Falcons and worked in community relations there, and helped with their foundation work. And then Coach Jim Mora and his wife Shannon gave me an opportunity to start and run their foundation, and that just started a whole new love for me. I mean, I always knew it was fun to take that position where you're working with a team and an athlete and understanding the power they have in the media to have a platform, but then to take it, off of the corporate books, if you will, and be able to work with people that have a vision and a mission that they want to make a difference. It was fun to do it. But for the Moras, at first I ran their foundation, and we planned lots of special events and raised over $1 million for kids in the community in need. And then went to run a foundation for former Major League Baseball pitcher Ryan Dempster, and ran his foundation for several years, and did the same thing. He had a mission to get the word out about a genetic disorder called 22q, very little known, but actually very common disorder. And so then we raised over $1 million for Ryan, and he was a wonderful advocate for getting the word out about that genetic disorder. And then started our own company, Ryan.
Okay.
After I had done it I did it that many years, and thought, there's a need here. I'm watching athletes. Some are doing a great job of it, and some really didn't know how to get started. So we just started working with different athletes to help them with their mission. And I was lucky enough to work with the former Falcons player, Buddy Curry, and we worked and did the same for him. Helped sort of elevated what he was doing in the community to make camps available for kids in need. And then last year we hosted a golf tournament for Major League Soccer, Julian Gressel. And he was here at the Atlanta United, and what a wonderful guy, and his wife. They were so giving, wanted to make a big difference here, and they held a golf tournament and raised close to 100,000 in like 3 weeks. So it was, wow. It's been amazing, and it's been a fun run. And now I'm blessed to be working with the Sager Strong Foundation, that was created really in honor of Craig Sager, the sportscaster he was battling leukemia. He lost his fight to blood cancer, but his wife works tirelessly to help make a difference.
Well, that is absolutely amazing. It's funny as you tell me that story. It seems like I know you and I have done some stuff. I guess it's our first time for this part of the interview being face to face. Whatever that looks like right now. But yeah. I have a love for sports, so through the stuff I've done, I've ended up getting to dabble in that too. But it's really impressive, Terri, and all those people you've mentioned and work with, and the foundations, because this is the community connections show. And when we're talking about giving back and athletes or people using their platform to make a difference in lives, it's so important, man. But you got to have a person who can, like you, to connect the dots, and make it all happen, because a good plan without the without the strategy doesn't necessarily work. So yeah, that's cool. You said that you started with the Thrashers. That's one I still don't know that much about. Hockey or lacrosse. I got to learn the rules a little bit, but I know every other sport. I'll learn. I'll keep taking a look at that. But so you said most recently, so the Sager Strong Foundation. I always had the highest regard. I never met Craig Sager, but he just seemed like an amazing person. That's what I heard about him. And talk about that. I mean, you had the opportunity to meet him, but just he gave me inspiration just watching him there in those couple of years, especially the last couple of years.
Well, I was blessed actually working at Turner Broadcasting. I did actually meet him and knew a lot about him even prior to working with the foundation. But his joy for life, he was just so full of life, full of fun. You'd see him on the sidelines with NBA and all different colorful suits, and just such great personality. He really embodied, I think, what the spirit of giving back and being there for people was all about. He connected people for sure, and I don't think I've met an NBA player who didn't just love him. So it was heartwarming when Stacy contacted me to actually help with the foundation, because I was aware of his personality. He was an amazing reporter. Like I said, he had a wonderful connection with everyone he met. And, in the years that he was diagnosed and fighting blood cancer, I don't even think people knew what he was going through. His last 3 years, he was diagnosed in, I think it was 2013, and he fought through 2016. And I'll tell you, he was doing, I couldn't believe it. He was doing 40 days and 40 nights of the NBA on TNT broadcasts, and he was getting a transfusion every single day to do the games that night. I don't think people understood what he was going through, but when they did, I think he was such an inspiration to so many for being able to go through such a difficult disease and still keep a positive attitude about it. And so, I mean, it was amazing that, he had so many like sayings, if you will, but I mean, he said that he was, touched by so many that he wanted to sort of pay it forward. And so that's why they created it.
Yeah, well, it's watching from afar, you're right. I mean, I did see some kind of a video they were showing what he was going through and still traveling to these games, but you could see the authentic, excuse me, the authentic behavior, because you're right, every player he interviewed, there wasn't a player I ever saw that didn't have a big smile on their face when talking about him. So, with a foundation, the Sager Strong Foundation, tell us about, some of the upcoming things you guys have going on, that our audience can know about.
Absolutely. Well, so the mission of the foundation is obviously to give hope to those who need it most that are fighting blood cancer. And I know that Craig and Stacy wanted to make sure that other families wouldn't suffer. So their whole goal was to, raise as much money as possible to give back to do research to maybe someday find a cure. So basically, we've created events around this mission to reach out to families, get families involved, to reach out to supporters, to get to help them give back and help us raise money for blood cancer research. So our first event that we created last year was called the Stadium Fun Run, and it was at the Braves Stadium, the SunTrust then, now it's Truist Park, and we actually ran inside the stadium. We ran the ramps and down onto the field, and the Braves were amazing partners, and we were just crushed when we found out this year we couldn't do it. But the Braves have been a great partner through it all, and they said, we're still with you. We'll do it virtually, and then we'll get back in Truist Park in 2021. So that's the plan. We are actually running the virtual fun run, August 23rd. And you can actually run anytime you want over the weekend, August 21st to the 23rd. And if you'd like to join us and wear your Sager style colorful clothes and send us photos and get involved and get registered, you can do so at sagerstrongfoundation.org. And it's open to anyone in the area and across the country. And we hope to raise some funds and make a difference. So
Wow.
that's sort of the first. Yeah, that's
was it like a 5K?
Well, that's a good question. So originally it was a 3K in the stadium because it's all contained within the stadium. So, but what we decided that runners can run whatever they want to run. So we have options. You can run a 3K, a 5K, a 10K, or a half marathon anytime that weekend, or you can run for what we call run for the cycle. So you can run them all if you want to. And then you just input your time through RaceJoy. It'll actually input your time. It'll tell you when you've run far enough, and it'll input your time, and we'll have leaderboards, and it'll be fun.
Well, I'll tell you what, so when we're done with this, we will get this video out, and we'll share, you can share it through your audience, and we'll share it through our audience. And again, this becomes a podcast, and we'll share it through that because I want to get the word out about this. It's really cool. And it's, we're all, I had a friend of mine, colleague the other day said, Terry said, we're having to look at our businesses and events almost if they're all new startups. I mean, everything that we've ever done for this show itself, I have another show. This show spawned at the very beginning of the quarantine. And I was like, how am I going to connect people and do interviews and stuff when they can't leave their home? So, there's always new ideas. So what y'all are doing virtually, yeah, it's not going to be the same as 2021, but it's going to be darn good. And I'm going to encourage people to post those photos, get involved, make it bigger than ever, in honor of that blood cancer and Craig's legacy and what he stood for and stands for and his wife stands for. So let me ask you a couple other questions, and then we probably got to close this out because we don't want technology to crash on us. You know how it works. But what have you learned most during this time that you've had time to kind of reflect that's been different? Because, obviously, like you're out and about, and, it's been a little bit different. Anything you've learned or want to share with our audience, what you've seen in this time?
Well, you're right. We've had to reinvent a lot of the businesses and the way we do business. I think it's really challenging, but at the same time, people still want to give. They want to be connected. And I think being able to give them options like a virtual run or just a way to connect back in and make a difference helps them to feel a little less stressed during this time because they know that they're helping others in some way. And I think if we just keep talking, because I think the hardest part is being isolated. So if we keep talking, keep giving people options and letting others know we're there and we care, I think that's going to help everybody get through this. It's just such a strange time. But I did want to tell you, if it's okay, I just wanted to mention, we also talk about partnerships. We also are partnering with the Red Cross. They were like, how can we get the word out? Because Craig needed blood when he was going through his diagnosis, and we wanted to give back. And she said, how can we get the word out? And we said, let's do a drive. Let's do a blood drive. And so we're doing a blood drive, and people can do that also virtually through redcrossblood.org. They have to go in, but they can go in anywhere. They don't necessarily have to go in here in the Duluth office or the Marietta location. They can go in anywhere and still participate in the Sager Strong Blood Drive.
Awesome, man. Well, I'll tell you what, Terry, you and I probably could, you have so much going on. We're definitely going to have you on, or when this passes, another show, and you and I do a lot of things together. So this is very important. I want to say before we forget, tell people how they can get in touch. I know you said it earlier, but get in touch with the foundation, or is it the website or email? What's the best way they can connect?
Okay, so if they're going to connect over the website, it's sagerstrongfoundation.org, O-R-G, sagerstrongfoundation.org. If they want to connect over Facebook, we'd love to hear from you. It's Sager Strong Foundation, or our handle on Twitter and Instagram is just @SagerStrong. So we'd love to hear from everyone, anyone. It's like I said, communicating is the most important part of all this.
It is. Well, y'all are doing a phenomenal job, and we're looking forward to, getting this interview out through multiple mediums, and we will be getting that to you guys to share. And I'm glad after all this time and craziness, but we get a somewhat of a face-to-face chance to get together, Terri. And I really appreciate you taking time to come on the Community Connection Show.
My pleasure. I'm glad we did too.
Absolutely. All right. Well, I'll be closing us down, and then we'll be getting this out to you, and we can let everybody know, make sure they're getting ready for the big event and blood drive and all the other great stuff you guys are doing. So again, I appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, folks, you've been listening to another Community Connections with Ryan Sauers. Stay tuned for upcoming episodes. Thanks again.